Thank you for joining us for another episode of Cryptocurrent. Just one quick reminder. Cryptocurrent is a cryptocurrency and blockchain education platform that's bridging the gap between the curious newcomers who are just discovering the space and the thought leaders who are shaping its future. All opinions expressed by Richard Carthon, the Cryptocurrent team, and their guests on this show are exclusively their own opinions. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Richard, the team, and their guests as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or to follow as financial advice. This show and any other Cryptocurrent production is exclusively for informational purposes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cryptocurrent. Your host here, Richard Carthon. And today I have a very special guest all the way out in Bangalore working on a really cool lending platform. We have Pranjal with Paxo Finance. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Richard. Doing great.
Excellent. Well, happy you can join us today. As we dive more into Paxo, before we do that, I want to learn more about you. Can you give us a little bit of background on yourself?
Sure. So I've been into tech entrepreneurship business for almost 10 years. I have started two companies in past. The first was a hardware startup based out of New Delhi, India. Exited that business in 2015, sold licenses to Co-founder. Then I started a SaaS company back in 2016. During pandemic, we had a chance to look at Web3. So we started a small hedge fund where we were experimenting with multiple DeFi protocols. And that's when we realized that currently there are so many protocols offering over-collateralized loans, but if the end use case is borrowing for investment in crypto assets, most of these protocols are inefficient. And that's when we realized that there is a space if we can create an under-collateralized, truly permissionless, trustless protocol. That will solve problem for a lot of new users in this space. So then we started experimenting with idea of Paxo. We validated the solution, and back in late 2021, we started working on the development side of it.
Oh, excellent. So you have a lot of background in being an entrepreneur and working in the finance world, and you identified a challenge with, I'm sure once DeFi summer hit back in around 2020s, you were looking at the ways that people were using collateralized loans and seeing inefficiencies and realizing that there's a way to use under-collateralized loans. So let's now talk about, Paxo. So it looks like the main proponent of this is being able to use under-collateralized DeFi lending protocol. Can you kind of just explain a little bit more of that and what are some of the different features that are coming out?
Sure. So most of the existing loan protocols in DeFi, they are like gold loan, right? They're pawn shops. You put in assets worth $100 and you get a loan of, let's say, $50 or $60 or $70, right? And most of the users, they further withdraw that amount and they buy another crypto, right? Or they invest in any other digital asset. So in a way, you are just getting loan worth 60 or 70% of the value, right? Imagine if the end use case is something similar to buying a home, right? Or buying a car, right? Where we put in $20, we borrow $80 from the bank or from the protocol. And for the combined $100, we buy, let's say any crypto. And that purchase asset becomes collateral. That's what we are doing with Paxo. So it's the same model from lender's perspective, but from borrower's side, it's equivalent to our mortgage or a car loan model, where we are able to just put a small collateral. 70-80% we borrow from the protocol. And for the combined amount, you can buy any digital assets within Paxo protocol. And that purchase asset becomes the collateral now. And using Paxo, you can put that collateral to use also. You can put it for staking, farming, and all other relevant use cases within DeFi ecosystem.
Interesting. Okay, so just so I make sure I have that right, you are going through the traditional way that consumers are going and getting loans. So, for example, interest rates on homes right now are somewhere between 4.75 and up to like 6%. So if you went to a bank and you tried to go get a loan and they were telling you, well, you got to put up 40% to get 60% of a loan, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily be able to go and do that. Same thing with cars. So what you're trying to do is propose a way in which a lot of the potential borrowers are going more of that route where they can get much lower of these interest rates and being able to be able to get more bang for their buck, if you will, where basically you're able to put like, 20% down, 10% down, whatever it is, and then be able to get the full amount of the loan that you're looking for. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, so the analogy is correct. So if the existing DeFi protocols, lending borrowing protocols are equivalent to gold loan model or pawn shops, the home loan model is what Paxo is doing. So that's just a analogy with the real life example. But everything is like around crypto. So even your collateral or your investment that is supposed to be a digital asset. So it's the equivalent of home loan in crypto world.
Right. Okay. No, that's a cool way that I think people can bridge this. Now, the then follow-up question I have for you though is, by going that route, doesn't that put more risk on the Paxo ecosystem, and what does Paxo do to help hedge against that potential risk?
Sure. So the good or bad part is we have the lending part remains similar to some of the largest DeFi protocols. It's just the mechanism which has changed. See, right now in normal over-collateralized loans, what happens? You put a asset which is of larger value, and that is kept as a collateral, and a part of that is given as a loan, right? In case of Paxo, you're putting a small equity, and then you're borrowing some amount from protocol, and for the combined amount, now something is being purchased, and that purchase asset becomes collateral that is locked within Paxo. If you want to withdraw it, either you need to pay off the debt or you need to sell the position, right? So as a lender, you always have a collateral which is of higher value than the amount which has been given as loan. So for lenders, it's as secure as over collateralized. But for borrowers, of course, the dynamics change, and you can just take a larger value loan, keep it for staking, farming, and use it the way you want within Paxo.
Got it. Okay. So by having that, you can never take out more money than the potential loan is actually worth. And the way that you are offsetting that is by using the native Paxo token to help with creating some of that hedge against some of the downward risk that goes with taking some of these loans. Is that correct?
So there are two ways. Technically, there are two ways we can look at the risk and how we can manage. One option is a lot of protocols or new age companies are also looking at credit scoring. So either we go ahead with that mechanism and create a system which reads and multiple data sources on chain, off chain, and creates a credit-based system. And based on that, you are given a loan, right? So that is one way. We found some gaps in that method, and we decided to go the other way, which is using a walled garden approach. So that means whatever amount is being released or your own equity contribution for loan, that is locked within Paxo, right? So that's like a setup which holds all the invested assets. And if you want to withdraw your own asset or the bond, you need to pay off the debt. It's kind of a vault which holds your own equity contribution and the borrowed amount. If you want custody of that, if you want to withdraw it from Paxo and then use it somewhere else or transfer it to any other wallet, you need to pay off the debt along with the interest value. But within that vault, you can use it for staking, farming. You can also sell it and trade on multiple dexes. So within the vault setup, whatever you want to do with those coins, you can do it. But if you want custody of it outside our Paxo protocol, then the loan needs to be clear. So that way, our lenders, we always have access to that collateral. And if price goes down or if there is a scenario where the position needs to be liquidated, lender's money is always secure. We can always go ahead and automatically liquidate as per the smart contract and recover the amount which has been given to the borrower.
Got it. Okay. So there's a lot of safety nets put in place to make sure within the smart contracts that you have to protect against the downside, hedge against, and to make sure that someone doesn't come and take this huge loan, get out of your protocol, get out of your ecosystem,
Yes.
and then there's no way for you to rectify the challenge.
Correct. You can take a loan, but the invested asset, that becomes the collateral, and that is locked within protocol. If you want to withdraw it, you pay off the amount which has been taken as loan along with the interest.
Right. No, that's really cool. So that's interesting. And one of the other things that I see on here that I think is potentially competitive is the fixable loan repayment. Can you kind of talk through how that works?
Right. So there are two major use cases we are seeing with the protocol we have developed. The first one is, imagine there are more than 80 million wallets in the world, and handful of them have amount higher than, let's say, $20,000. So there are almost 95% wallet holders holding less than $5,000 in their wallet. Aspirationally, these are the people who want to buy one BTC, but they don't have capital to do it. So for that segment, the protocol serves as a way to purchase larger quantity and pay off the debt over a period of time. Let's say you borrow $500, and you pay off $100 every week over a period of next 5-6 weeks, and take custody of let's say 2 BNB. So that way, we are allowing a lot of small wallet holders, people with smaller holding in their wallet, to buy larger quantities and pay off the debt over a period of time and take custody of a larger portfolio. So that's one use case. And the second use case is a lot of people are borrowing so that they can put it on staking and farm. So that's the second segment. Margin trade is one of the key areas for the framework which has been proven in this space. So these are the 2-3 use cases we see, and we believe that based on millions of users with smaller wallet, that segment is something which is lucrative to us, and we have seen a lot of intake from that segment.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I think those are, again, two really good use cases for how you're going to see more adoption come onto your platform. As you're looking at some of the ways that Paxo is being utilized across your various user base right now, how do you see Paxo's the types of loans and the different types of things that you implement maturing over time? Like, how do you see different types of functionalities coming into this ecosystem in the future?
Sure. So right now we are on Polygon. We are live on Polygon testnet. We are yet to go live on mainnet. Our first audit is complete, and we are in process of getting our smart contracts audited by one of the large agencies. Right now, based on the data we are seeing, on Polygon testnet, we believe that a lot of users from Asian market or Africa, some part in US and Latin America, they are more aligned toward using the protocol to systematically acquire largest quantities. So this becomes kind of protocol where you go and open a position, buy, let's say, 1 ETH and pay off $500 every week. So that is one major use case we are seeing. Also, we are getting a lot of requests to enable multiple staking and farming protocols within Paxo. So these two use cases we have seen over the last couple of weeks that most of the users are inclined towards this. Moving forward, we believe that the same protocol can be used to buy some land in metaverse or some NFT assets as well. Right now, in terms of our protocol design, we need a liquidator and we need price oracles to systematically calculate position of each and every borrower. As soon as we have the right infrastructure, we will be the first protocol to enable loans in metaverse, just like these loans are being dispersed in real world. So imagine buying a home or buying a piece of land in metaverse by just paying 10 or 20%. we are working on those mechanisms as well.
Got it. Okay, so building on top of the Polygon network, and currently in testnet, mainnet should be dropping pretty soon, and then you're seeing this being able to potentially get to cross-chain in the future, as well as having a platform where no matter, as long as you're within the Polygon ecosystem and looking for ways to get your loans in a couple different markets, Paxo Finance will be a way to be able to utilize some of these undercollateralized loans that aren't really out there. I've spoke to a lot of collateralized loaning institutions through this show, and then just seeing what's out in the market. There aren't as many undercollateralized loans that are out there and on my radar. So I think this is a really unique opportunity, and I think this is also the first that I've heard that is on the Polygon ecosystem. So I think that is also pretty unique that y'all decided to go in this ecosystem.
That's right. So eventually, we will be multi-chain, will be on multiple chains. That's the future for most of the DeFi protocols. But Polygon is going to be the first chain where we are, focusing on building our larger community and building our, let's say, fast, significant TVL. Once we have proven that entire GTM and success model there, it's a matter of replicating across other chains as well.
Excellent. Well, Pranjal, you've already given us a lot of really good information on Paxo Finance. As a kind of a side-off question, just as we look into the world of DeFi lending and everything else, how do you see the world of DeFi and more lending being able to continue to be brought into the mass adoption of people that are within this space? So I think that a lot of people don't necessarily understand what it means to be able to use your crypto as collateral, borrow against it, and keep generating wealth through that tool. But how do you think that people will begin to be educated and then be able to use something such as Paxo Finance to learn about these opportunities and then be able to participate in them in a way that feels safe?
Right. That's a very valid question, Richard. In fact, these are the questions we are also internally deliberating every week as we are moving towards our launch. We believe that the problem is not just technology-based, it's also regulatory and framework-oriented. So first of all, most of the protocols today that requires a minimum level of awareness around using crypto-based systems, right? If you ask, let's say, 45-year-old user who is well familiar with the other technology pieces, probably he or she may not be able to, figure out how to use an over-collateralized lending protocol using MetaMask, unless given some basic, tutorial or something. So I believe the technology needs to be simplified. Right now, the main audience for most of the smart contract solutions are developers. These solutions are good for technology people. But when it comes to building a solution which is meant for everyone, our parents, our siblings, our people in our society, probably we as a technology creators have not really given up mind space. So we believe that, firstly, I strongly, as a technology product guy, I believe that answer lies in simplifying the technology, creating it as simple as maybe a basic WhatsApp interface. Right now, most of these solutions are, they lack that kind of simplicity. So it requires, stepping out of our typical decentralized Web3 mindset, and it might require us to go beyond the kind of decentralization we see in the solution, but it requires, to be simplified so that our parents, our grandparents can also use it. The second part is creating, simplified communication, and of course that requires consent from regulatory bodies also and other agencies as well, where we can, talk about a lot of, areas which are still a gray zone for most of the users, like especially in India and some of the developing countries, we see a lot of resistance from regulatory bodies. Of course, there are challenges because it's a new asset class, but the only way to address is, by educating people, by allowing people to experiment with it. curtailing an innovation may not be the right way. So we have to work on both the parts, simplifying the technology and allowing people to experiment with the choice of tokens and currencies and protocols and they want to engage with.
For sure. And I think that was a really good response to the question. It's an ongoing challenge as you look at product and being able to expand this to a larger audience. Of course, when you're first building this, you have a target audience in mind, but for you to kind of grow to the scale that you want, it needs to be simple enough that anyone can be able to pick it up and use it. And I definitely think that the education piece of it, being able to provide tutorials, being able to provide examples of use cases and how people could do it simply helps people to visualize like, oh, okay, well, here is another solution, another option that I can use to keep generating wealth for myself, utilizing these DeFi tools. So again, I think that's a really good answer. I really think it'd be awesome if y'all are able to do that as y'all built that out. And I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. But on that same train of thought, Paxo Finance is having an IDO soon. Can you kind of speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, so we have plans to announce our IDO sometime in the month of May. Hopefully in the next few days, we'll have all the details out. Right now, we are in process of closing our private round. We closed our seed a couple of months ago. We have seen a lot of interest from VCs and private investors across the globe for our private round. Now we are in process of finalizing dates and announcing the dates for IDO.
Excellent. Well, May of 2022 for all those listening, especially whenever this goes into the past. So this is coming really soon. Really excited about it. I know you are as well. So everybody be on the lookout for that. And as a follow-up to that, always as we kind of wrap up, I like to ask a couple of fun questions. And the first one that I typically ask is, with all the information that you've been able to learn and gather while being in the crypto blockchain space, if you could impart one to two pieces of wisdom that you could give to yourself when you first started creating Paxo Finance, what would you tell yourself?
That's a tough one. I think the only advice I would have given to myself 1 year ago was timing is important. Building right partnership is equally important. So when we made a lot of wrong decisions in terms of timing and building some of the early partnerships. I believe if I had opportunity to redo it, probably we would have picked some of the early pieces differently. Like maybe some thoughts around the partnerships around early participants in the liquidity side, or some thoughts around launching it at the right time. Those are the two areas where probably I could have done it differently.
Got it. Understood. I think those are two pieces of advice. Of course, before getting into this space, these are things that you don't necessarily get all of the insights into and don't necessarily know which questions to ask or what to be looking for. And now you clearly do. And for all of those who are looking to even launching their own projects that are out there, rewind this, listen to Pranjal and what he said again. Make sure to keep that in mind as you are potentially bringing your products to the market. So definitely thank you for that insight. But as we wrap up here, what is a final thought that you want to leave with all of the listeners here today?
20 is going to be interesting, especially from the DeFi side of it. And I'm very sure that we'll see a lot of innovation we haven't even thought about, especially on the lending and borrowing side. I'm seeing some innovation almost every day. Let's be open. Let's try out new protocols. Let's adopt whatever we can, and be open and vocal about all the feedbacks we have. Let's just try it out. Let's just try whatever we can get our hands on.
For sure. So get your hands out there, try some different things, try some protocols. If you are excited about what you heard today with Paxo Finance, make sure you go and check that out when it comes out. Pranjal, what are some ways that people can connect with you and keep learning more about Paxo Finance?
So I'm available on Twitter, Pranjal Prashar. Our website is also functional. I'm pretty active on Telegram. We are also setting up our Discord channel. I'm active on most of our channels available on the website. Happy to drop in the website address here, paxo.finance.
Perfect. Well, again, everyone, make sure you go and check that out. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today, Pranjal. We appreciate all the insights. And of course, for everyone listening, stay cryptocurrent.